So do you think you know AI? I mean, most of us just instinctively say, yeah, for sure. You probably use conversational models every single day. You might even integrate some tools into your workflow so you feel pretty comfortable, right? But honestly, simply interacting with a chatbot does not mean you have a grasp on the massive structural shift happening behind the scenes.
Because here's a stark reality check our source material brings to light. There are three very distinct levels of AI architecture. And the truth is, most of the world is completely stuck on level one. You might feel like you've mastered AI, but you likely only know the baseline. So today, we are mapping the entire vertical to see exactly what you've been missing.
Okay, let's dive into the schematic and map out this evolutionary leap. We'll start with the AI knowledge gap, move up to level 1 language models, jump to level 2 AI agents, hit the endgame with level 3 agentic AI, and wrap up with the new reality. All right, section 1, the AI knowledge gap and the illusion of understanding. We really have to define this foundational layer first because the gap between public perception and the actual engineering reality right now is just massive. Moving right along to section 2, level 1 language models, the text processors. This is basically the starting line. So the crucial point here is that tools you probably use every day, think ChatGPT, Claude, Google Gemini, at their core, they are fundamentally just highly advanced text processors. As large language models, their entire architectural purpose is just next token prediction based on the vast amount of training data they've consumed. Their job is simply to process language and spit out human-like responses based entirely on whatever specific context you give them. They aren't thinking, they're calculating probabilities. Now, their capabilities are undeniably impressive, for sure. They excel at answering complex questions, drafting essays, writing code, and translating languages at unbelievable speeds. But, and this is a huge but, the critical limitation is that this architecture is strictly reactive. It's just a passive, stateless loop. You type in a prompt, it spits out a response, and then it literally stops completely. It has zero agency, no persistent drive. You have to be the one driving every single step and micromanaging the input to get what you want out of it. Which brings us to section 3, level 2 AI agents, moving from processing to doing. This is where the architecture changes and the whole vibe of the technology shifts completely. This is where things get real, and I want to emphasize that quote because it signals a massive paradigm shift. We are literally leaving passive text processors behind and entering the realm of active, goal-oriented systems. Unlike a static language model, level 2 agents operate on dynamic loops. Let's actually walk through how they function. Step 1, perceive. They don't just read a single prompt. They look at your entire codebase or project environment to establish deep, ongoing context. Step 2, decide. They make active, logic-based decisions on how to proceed based on that specific context. And step 3, act. They execute multi-step workflows to hit a specific goal. Tools like Cursor, Windsor, and Call Code aren't just generating text into a chat window, they are actively manipulating environments and executing real commands. Now, what's really interesting here is the stark contrast between these two workflows. On one side, you have the traditional setup. You are the engineer, typing out prompts, asking a level 1 model for a quick snippet of code. You're still doing the heavy lifting and just relying on it as an advisor. But on the flip side, level 2 AI agents act as the actual workers. They are deeply integrated inside your repository, actively deploying features into a software build, while you just sit back and supervise the output. One waits around for your instructions, the other actually gets to work. All right, section 4, level 3 agentic AI, the end game. As our source unequivocally points out, this is the absolute apex of current AI architecture. Let's break down this definition, because the wording here is vital. Agentic AI systems don't just execute predefined loops. They plan multi-step tasks, and crucially, they reflect on their own performance. This means they are constantly running internal evaluation loops, checking their output against the end goal. And here is the true architectural leap. They completely change strategies when something isn't working. They have structural self-awareness and adaptability. They evaluate, they pivot, and they course correct without needing any human to tap them on the shoulder and say, hey, you made a mistake. The source uses this absolutely brilliant metaphor, like having a senior engineer who never sleeps. And honestly, that hits the nail on the head. If you've ever managed a senior engineer, you know you don't give them step-by-step micromanaged instructions. You give them a big picture goal. They architect the solution, they independently troubleshoot the roadblocks that pop up, and they relentlessly drive toward the finish line. That autonomous, self-correcting nature, that is exactly what separates level 3 from everything else out there today.
And this perfectly illustrates the ultimate differentiator between the top two tiers. It comes down to the rails they run on. Level 2 AI agents are incredibly capable, but they still follow your predetermined workflow. They need the map you set down to function properly. But Level 3 agentic AI, it creates its own workflow on the fly. Level 2 follows the map. Level 3 draws the map, adjusting its route in real time as it encounters new, unexpected terrain.
Finally, Section 5, the new reality, evaluating your position. Now that we've mapped out the entire architecture, it's time to turn the focus back to your own day-to-day workflow. So I have to ask, which level are you actually on? I really challenge you to genuinely reflect on how you are using these technologies today. Are you still treating AI like a glorified, stateless search engine stuck on level 1? Or are you starting to architect systems, build infrastructure, and deploy active agents to massively scale your output? Because here is the harsh reality you need to take away from this explainer today. While you might be sitting there having pleasant single-turn conversations with a chatbot on level 1, someone else in your industry is actively building their entire business infrastructure with level 2 and level 3 AI. The future is no longer just a chat window. It is an autonomous, relentless workforce. So the only question left to answer is, what are you going to build with it?